Well, I'm back with a new series of reviews. I'm doing kind of a first in, first out, which is I've taken my DVDs and Blu-rays that I've logged on a computer and sorted them by purchase date. So what I'm doing is watching the very first unwatched film kind of in order. So it's really kind of a random thing. The first thing that came up, the oldest thing that I have unwatched in my collection is this Medici box set of great battles of World War II. And I bought this in 2000, so it's well over 16 years old. And probably in the last 16, I know in the last 16 years I've seen it, but since I started recording and logging my purchases, I just started that in 2014. I haven't watched it, so it got a watch, and it's an interesting series of films. Medici's very cheap, and these films are public domain. You can probably watch them on YouTube. In fact, I think this box set, I made a quick attempt to see if this was even available on Amazon, and I couldn't find it, but there's variants of it. I mean, you can pick these up if you really want them. First film is the shortest of the films that I watched is the Battle of Britain. And these are sort of propaganda in a way. I mean, there's great footage of the battles themselves, but the narration is basically a form of propaganda. It's trying to demonstrate the resolve of the British people, and I think it was used probably back in the 40s to rally support for Europe in America. And this film, I don't think, is any exception. You've got the battle scenes, the raids, the air raids, the Nazi air raids, and the British Spitfire battles trying to stop the bombing of London, the bombing of all the seaport towns in England is fascinating stuff. It's still very interesting to watch even today. This is the shortest. This is like 51 minutes. But it does definitely take you back to a very tough time for the whole world. And the Nazis were trying to conquer the world domination, and their plan to take on this little country that's really the size of a small state in the United States, basically just bombing the crap out of them till the English conceded. Obviously that didn't happen. The Germans lost 2 and 3 times as many planes with every raid that the Brits lost. So, the British resolve was definitely in full force with these air raids. But yeah, it's good stuff. And if you've ever had an interest in watching real footage of the bombings and the raids, I'd encourage you to watch this on YouTube or pick up a copy. They're cheap. Next up is the D-Day, Battle for the Beach. And this one, of course, covers the Western Front, the War of the Western Front, 1942 all the way to 45. Of course, you've got Normandy, the beaches in Normandy, France, and then the battles that occurred in Germany as the troops advanced into Germany. And the footage is, again, very persuasive, very fascinating to watch. It's just an amazing piece of film, but it's produced by the government. It's a government film, so it has, particularly with the voiceover narration, quite a bit of a propaganda type spin to it. Yeah, that's D-Day, Battle for the Beach. And my 2 favorites coming up now. First up is Battle of Russia. The Eastern Front I always found is the most interesting aspect of the World War II. And this is directed by Frank Capra. Back in 1941, this truly was a piece of propaganda that was at the direction of the U.S. government, particularly to try to rally support for, a country and a world that was really kind of tired of war. But due to the evil necessity of having to go to war, I mean, we had to rally support, public support, to come to the aid of Europe. And this film definitely gives you that feel. Frank Capra won an Academy Award for this film, and it's the longest of the films. It's in 2 parts, and it covers really all the aspects of Russia, from the initial blitzkrieg from Poland on into the Ukraine, to the battle of the siege of Leningrad, to what I found is the most interesting part of the World War II is the stand that the Russians put up at Stalingrad, which is just fascinating stuff. I mean, the film footage that you get with this is just it's more than fascinating. It's just really incredible stuff. I mean, you've got street fighting in Stalingrad that was filmed. I mean, basically, it was a battle for Stalingrad was just a battle for street by street fighting, and it went on forever. Went on for months. But I think this is the most interesting of the whole set is this Frank Capra documentary, which is 2 parts, and then finally was the Battle of the Volga, which is really kind of an overlap to the last one I showed you, the Battle of Russia. But this one focuses predominantly on Stalingrad. A lot more detail about Stalingrad and the siege of Leningrad. And again, the footage is interesting. There is some overlap, but this film was done by a Russian director, Maria Penskaya. I can't remember her name exactly, but basically it was the film footage was Russian film footage that the government took and created kind of a film, documentary film. So yeah, of the set I would think these two are the real gems of the set. There's all kinds of, this is a Medici release. There's all kinds of variants of this that you can pick up, and I'm sure you can pick it up on Blu-ray as well. But yeah, it was a good watch, and it's been a while since I'd kind of pulled out some documentary footage on World War II, so I was kind of glad when that showed up as top on the list. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with the second oldest film unwatched in my collection. Sometime, probably the end of the week, I'll do another review. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.